Hey guys, welcome to Backstage with Millionaires. I'm Caleb, your host, and today we're going to be talking about the latest news that's been happening in India's startup ecosystem over the course of the last week. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the Indian government's interesting decision to start requiring e-commerce companies to specify a product's country of origin, Zerodha's ESOP buyback, Yatra's layoffs, Flipkart's new Indian language offerings, the two new players in India's alcohol delivery space, the latest big acquisition in the rental housing market, a new Indian borderless incubator, all of the latest funding news, and more coming up right after this. All right, first up, let's talk about the Indian government's latest effort to reduce its country's dependency upon Chinese products. At this point, even if you're not Indian, you've probably heard about what's going on at the India-China border. And it's this clash, along with a bunch of other stuff. For example, the way that the Chinese government handled the coronavirus pandemic, which is, it started in Wuhan, but then it spread across the globe, and India is now the fourth worst hit country. It's these things and more that have resulted in this growing negative sentiment towards China from Indian people. Now, the government of India has already made it mandatory for sellers to list the country of origin when they're registering products that they want to sell in India on the government e-marketplace portal. This portal is something that government ministries use for public procurement. However, up until this point, this is something that only really government ministries could see. Customers, on the other hand, weren't really ever sure where their products were coming from unless they did a bunch of digging. This ask from the government, though, will help consumers to make better informed decisions on the products that they're buying. And it looks like e-commerce companies like Amazon, Flipkart, and Paytm Mall are on board with this. All that they've asked the government to do is give them a little bit more time so that they can implement some of these changes. They've also asked the government to clear some doubts regarding definitions and policy implementation. For example, do these e-commerce companies need to list the country of origin for old products or only new ones? And also, what determines country of origin? If a product is manufactured in India, but it's being manufactured by a foreign company, is it made in India or is it not? So these are some things that will need to be cleared up before this feature is rolled out in these e-commerce platforms. And I do say feature because I think that it's important for consumers to be informed about where the products that they're buying are coming from. But if all goes according to plan, we should be able to see where the products that we're buying on these e-commerce platforms are coming from within the next month or two. All right, next up in the news, let's talk about India's latest unicorn, Zerodha. While most Indian startups are struggling to survive by laying off their employees, Zerodha has announced that they're going to be rewarding their employees by buying back ESOPs, that's employee stock option plans, worth 60 to 65 crore rupees this year. The company is going to be buying back these shares at 4x their book value at 170 rupees, which amounts to 700 rupees per share. While the deal could benefit up to 700 employees, most likely it's only going to benefit between 30 and 40. With this announcement, Zerodha has achieved a very rare feat in the Indian startup ecosystem by not only becoming a bootstrapped unicorn, but also staying profitable at the same time. Founded by Nitin and Nikhil Kamath in 2010, Zerodha offers a hassle-free platform to let its users invest in stocks, derivatives, and mutual funds. Over the last decade, the company has grown its customer base to over 2 million users, and during the financial year of 2019, Zerodha generated 850 crore rupees in revenues and made 350 crore rupees in net profit. All right, next up, let's talk about online travel agency Yatra. This week, they laid off 400 employees, bringing the total number of employees that they've laid off during the coronavirus pandemic to 1,000. Yatra is among the many companies in the travel and hospitality space like Oyo, Tribo, Fab Hotels, and Make My Trip to lay off or furlough employees during the coronavirus pandemic. Even though some travel restrictions have been lifted here in India and will continue to be lifted over the next couple of weeks and months, it doesn't look like the hospitality or travel sectors in this country are going to be recovering anytime soon. All right, next up in the news, this is something a little bit more positive. Flipkart has added 3 new Indian languages to its platform: Kannada, Telugu, and Tamil. They're doing this in an effort to reach customers in smaller cities where people don't understand English or Hindi. And with approximately 200 million people speaking Kannada, Tamil, or Telugu, this feature will ease the online design journey of these users and enable Flipkart to penetrate deeper into the Indian market. The company decided to introduce more local languages on its platform after the success of their launch of Hindi a little over 9 months back. A Flipkart spokesperson told TechCrunch that about 95% of consumers who opted for the Hindi interface continued using the interface as a testament of its efficacy. At this point in time, nearly 60% of Flipkart's user base comes from smaller cities like Tier 2 and beyond. And with the number of Indian language internet users expected to make up 75% of India's internet user base by 2021, we can expect localization of e-commerce platforms to play an important role in deciding India's e-commerce leader in the coming years. Now, thanks to these 3 new languages, Flipkart is way ahead of its main competitor, Amazon, which only supports English and Hindi on its platform. Also, earlier this month, Flipkart upped its localization game by launching a voice assistant feature on its platform that supports both English and Hindi. So hopefully, in the future, Flipkart will make this voice assistant feature accessible to people who speak Kannada, Tamil, and Telugu as well. Alright, next up in the news, e-commerce giant Amazon and Alibaba-backed grocery delivery platform BigBasket have both received permission from the West Bengal government to deliver alcohol within the state. Which means that now, in this one state, there are 4 companies competing for this alcohol delivery space. You've got BigBasket and Amazon, but you also have Swiggy and Zomato. And Swiggy and Zomato, by the way, already have permission to deliver alcohol in Odisha and Jharkhand as well. But one thing that a lot of people are wondering is this a temporary thing or not? Are these permissions something that these governments are giving out on a temporary basis to these companies in order to keep people away from liquor stores physically so that they don't spread the virus, and then once the COVID-19 pandemic is over, they're going to retract those permissions? Or will these permissions exist permanently? Will these companies be able to deliver alcohol long into the future? Because India's alcohol market is expected to reach $41 billion by 2022. So startups that are getting into this alcohol delivery space early definitely have a chance to dominate this market. All right, next up in the news, rental housing startup NestAway's co-living subsidiary HelloWorld has acquired StayAbode in a bid to increase the number of beds on its platform. HelloWorld currently has 20,000 beds on its platform, but by the end of this financial year, they're looking to increase that number to 50,000 through a number of different acquisitions. NestAway forayed into the co-living space with HelloWorld back in November of 2019. And through HelloWorld, they've been offering co-living spaces to students and professionals with a platform that provides a hassle-free rental experience for its users. To date, NestAway has raised over $100 million from its investors and has acquired startups like Zenify and Apna Complex to strengthen its rental housing business. Alright, next up in the news, let's talk about an exciting new borderless incubation program called Indiarath. Launched by Arjita Sethi, Upasna Das, and Yatin Thakur, who we've actually had on the show twice. You can go check out our latest interview with him up here. Indiarath is an incubation program that aims to help entrepreneurs to create, sustain, and scale their startups across the globe. They're looking to start their 24-week-long incubation program in July and plan to get 200 startups for their summer 2020 cohort on a rollover basis. The program is going to be focusing on 3 major areas: upskilling entrepreneurs to handle real challenges through fundamentals, product designing and branding strategies through masterclasses, and one-on-one mentorship to help entrepreneurs to achieve tangible goals. The program is also going to be featuring over 80 mentors from companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, Morgan Stanley, Cisco, Paytm, and Oyo, and experts from diverse ecosystems including India, the US, Japan, Hong Kong, the UK, and New Zealand. Alright, next let's move on to some funding news. If you've been watching these videos for a while, then you already know what I'm going to say next. Jio Platforms has raised even more money. They are still at it, guys. Specifically, they've raised 11,367 crore rupees from Saudi Arabia's public investment fund for a 2.32% equity. With this investment, Jio Platforms has now raised a total of 115,693.95 crore rupees from global investors for a 24.7% equity. The company has also raised an additional 53,124.20 crore rupees from existing shareholders through a rights issue, bringing the total money raised to 168,818 crore rupees in the last 58 days alone. Prior to these investments, Reliance Industries had a net debt of 161,035 crore rupees, but now the company has become net debt-free, and that too 9 months ahead of schedule. Talking about the investments, the owner of Reliance Industries, Mukesh Ambani, who just recently became the 9th wealthiest person in the world, said that I have fulfilled my promise to the shareholders by making Reliance net debt-free much before our original schedule of 31st March 2021. Alright, next up in the funding news, digital lending startup iFinance has raised 210 crore rupees, that's $27.5 million, in its Series E round from Alphabet's private equity fund Capital G, LGT Lightstone Espada, Falcon Edge Capital, A91 Partners, and MAG Invest. With this investment, iFinance has now raised more than 690 crore rupees, that's $90 million, since its inception, valuing the company at over $250 million. This fresh capital will provide liquidity to the company in a troubling time and help it to resume its operations by lending small amounts of money to businesses from next month. Founded by Sanjay Sharma and Vikram Jetli in 2014, iFinance uses advanced statistical models and predictive analytics to offer loans to small and medium enterprises that lack formal business documents and former credit history. To date, the company claims to have provided loans worth 3,000 crore rupees to more than 2 lakh unorganized businesses. Alright, next up in the funding news, co-working startup 91 Springboard has raised 45 crore rupees in fresh funds from existing investors. Talking about the investment, Anand Vimuri, who's the CEO of the company, said that we have secured funding of 45 crore rupees from our existing investors, and we plan to utilize it by offering new age and customized solutions that will help all of our members adapt to the new normal. The company claims to be one of the few co-working startups in the country that have been profitable on a company level. Founded by Anand Vimuri, Deepak Sharma, Pranay Gupta, and Varun Chawla in 2012, 91 Springboard offers 27 co-working spaces with pan-India access, hassle-free setup, and pay-per-use plans. The company has already reopened 14 of its office spaces across Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Goa. Alright, next up in the funding news, milk and grocery delivery startup MilkBasket has raised $5.5 million from Inflection Point Ventures, Blume Ventures, Kalaari Capital, Mayfield India, Unilever Ventures, and Be Next. Talking about the investment, Anand Goel, who's the CEO and co-founder of MilkBasket, said that this is probably our last fundraise on our path to profitability that we aim to achieve in 2020. Our Gurgaon, Noida, and Bengaluru operations are already breaking even with other cities on an accelerated track. These funds will provide a further boost in our efforts to achieve the same and necessary buffers to deal with any eventualities. Founded by Anand Goel, Anurag Jain, Ashish Goel, and Yatish Talavtia in 2015, MilkBasket enables its users to order their groceries anytime until midnight, and it gets delivered to their doorstep the next morning at 7 a.m. Its platform offers more than 9,000 products across categories like fruits, vegetables, and dairy, serving over 130,000 households. Alright, next up in the funding news, electric bike rental startup Yulu has raised 30 crore rupees in a round led by US-based VC firm Rocketship. These fresh funds will be used to strengthen its mobility platform, provide enhanced technology solutions, and boost rapid expansion. Founded by former Imobi co-founder Amit Gupta, Rajendra Misra, Naveen Tachuri, and Hemant Gupta in 2017, Yulu provides seamless and sustainable first and last mile connectivity solutions by enabling its users to book electric bikes and scooters through its app. The company aims to redefine urban mobility with the goal of reducing traffic congestion and pollutions in India through its shareable and sustainable e-bikes. Alright, that is all the startup news that I have for you guys this week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, I would love it if you could leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts were on some of the things that we talked about today. Also, if you're not already subscribed, now would be a great time to do so. We post new videos every single week about Indian startups, entrepreneurs, and the latest news. So hit subscribe, and while you're at it, you might as well hit the like button as well. And if you know somebody who you think would enjoy this video, I would love it if you could share it with them. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Backstage with Millionaires, and I will see you in the next one.